of a movement. We do the things worth doing. We know this is our moment, so we own it. We are the next generation. We got the words worth saying. We have the spark to inspire, to start a fire. We are worth nothing less than the best. We are worth nothing less than the best. We are the light in the darkness. Come on and up, get it started. We are worth nothing less than the very best. We are worth the very best. We are worth the very best. We're standing tall like giants. We're shining bright like diamonds. We know the power inside us, so we triumph. We're gonna shake the nations, breaking all expectations. History in the making. Let me hear you say it. We are worth nothing less than the best. We are worth nothing less than the best. We are the light in the darkness. Come on and up, get it started. We are worth nothing less than the very best. We are worth the very best. We are worth the very best. Confident champions, we know who we are. We were meant to change the world. This is where it starts. Confident champions, we know who we are. We were meant.
There were 2 AROMA trips that ended up in Panama this year in consecutive weeks, even though that may not have been our original plan.
We were blessed to go to Panama and spend our last day in an unknown town around a range of volcanoes. And we arrived not knowing what we were going to do, who we were going to help. We were just told we were carrying a lot of weight of cement and wooden blocks and building materials up the side of a volcano. So even though it was tough to not know what we were doing and why we were doing it, we now with hindsight know just how big God's plan was. So we started building this memorial, and we didn't really know who we were doing it for either. We were told by our leader, Dan Cotton, that we were helping a family from America actually. It was for a man named Graham, and his wife lost their 2-year-old daughter Noelle about a year prior to when we were there. They climbed this peak all the time, and he wanted to give them a memorial to celebrate their daughter's life and something they loved to do and something he knew that would touch them in the best way it could. God had ordained this plan way before knowing that Graham needed help and he needed healing in a new way. And so for us to be able to climb that mountain, get through it, and still help him in this way was amazing.
I was able to go to Panama this summer, even though our original plan was to go to Nicaragua. So I was on not a mixed trip, it was just 9 baseball players. It was some alumni and some current players, and we were going to Nicaragua to teach baseball and minister through that. That didn't end up happening through some different circumstances, but we did end up in Panama with Dan and Jess Cotton, which we were not expecting. And we were the week right after the trip Kaylor was on. We were struggling to see what purpose we had in Panama, and it wasn't until our last day on the trip that we found out why. So we were able to meet Graham as well, and Graham told us the story of Noelle and what happened with her, and told us how the team Kaylor was on was able to build a monument to her on the top of this mountain. And he asked us if we wanted to take the cross, the final piece up there. We were like, yeah, sure, no problem, we'll take this cross up. So we saw the cross, and this was the first time that I had seen it, and it was massive. It was probably 14 feet, 300 pounds of steel. And you know, we've done cross runs at Messiah with some wooden crosses, you know, and maybe 8 feet, you know, definitely not 300 pounds. So this was definitely a next level cross we were able to do.
We also saw the cross that Spencer carried up there with his team, and it was massive, and we were kind of disappointed because we didn't know how we could also make that happen in the time we had left in Panama.
While we were hiking it up this mountain on the rocks and the roots growing over in the mud, it was beautiful to see Graham and see how these 9 strangers to him were able to come in and carry this burden with him that he had been carrying for almost a year now. And it was just amazing to see. We got to the top and we looked out over the ridge and we saw the cross up, and we knew why we were supposed to be in Panama and why we didn't end up in Nicaragua.
The AROMA trip was a good reminder of just how big God is and how He truly transcends borders and languages, and His love and joy are tangible elements of Him that can be seen anywhere you go.
We went and visited a orphanage called Casa Providencia, and Casa Providencia is the first Panama orphanage for special needs children. And it was run by an amazing couple named Matt and Misty. After just praying and just asking God for help, basically, they got volunteers from around the area. Like all these people that heard about Casa Providencia wanted to help out, just because like they felt the calling, in their hearts. And I think they had 8 children there when we were there, and each child had their own bed that kind of monitored temperature and whether the child was like sleeping correctly. And it was just a very advanced bed. It was like a crib, and the guy who was part of the company that makes these beds met Matt and kind of heard the need that he had, and so just like out of this guy's heart, he gave him 12 beds that cost like $8,000 each for Casa Providencia. And I mean, it is just those things alone, to see just the providence and the help that God gives His followers and those that are working for His good. He's always there, and like he's going to be doing the work right there with you. And after hearing like what Casa Providencia was doing and the help that Matt and Misty needed, my major is HDFS, and I have a minor in pre-counseling and therapy. I really found that one thing that like I could do to help was prepare an education program after I graduate, and that I could give to like volunteers that don't really know a whole lot about special needs, or don't really know a whole lot about like how to run an orphanage. That's just been really cool in my heart to do that, prepare that for them.
After going on this trip, I saw that like sport is something that we're passionate about. God puts that passion in our hearts, and it was amazing to see that there's people all over the world with that same passion, to meet people and connect with them through sports, and then be able to go deeper and show them why we're excited about sports. Like, what's the driving passion behind that? That's Christ's identity.
My trip to Zambia made me realize that sport is something that people are so passionate about, and especially in Zambia, kids play soccer all day. It's something that's really important to them, and when you show that you're interested in that and interested in them, it's just a great gateway to build relationships and then show the love of Christ through that.
Asia's an extremely Buddhist place, and the whole culture revolves around that. While we were there, there's a big separation between sports and Jesus. But while I was over there and while we were running the camps, you could tell that the reason sports exist here on this earth is because even though if you don't talk about Jesus directly with sports, you can tell with the way these kids handle sports and the way they treat sports that Jesus just bleeds into all aspects of that. And so Jesus revolutionized my view of sports and my view of competition, because I haven't always had the most healthy relationship with competition, because again, I always had sports as something I could do every day, but these kids, you could tell that Jesus was speaking to them through sports even if they didn't know it.
It's really fun to have my athleticism in order to speak to the kids, because we'd be playing football and even like making a great catch, the kids would be like, wow, like, and you just earn their trust and respect, I guess, that way. But in order to use those sports, and even we had a rough football game one time where it was pretty competitive and pretty chippy, but we were able to use that and teach them sportsmanship. Just using the sport in order to portray different themes of Jesus to them was really cool.
It was pretty cool to see in Uganda they had a pretty developed sports ministry with sports outreach, and every single Friday throughout the year they have a team called the Good News Team that goes out and they play soccer in a different village, and then they'll share testimonies and share Jesus with the people afterwards. Every day they're living, pursuing Christ and pursuing, showing others Christ through the platform of soccer. And then when we went to Rwanda, they weren't very familiar with sports ministry. So there were 7 different delegates from the different regions of Rwanda that came with us as we went out. And the bishop of the church in Rwanda was with us. And so we were in different meetings of them talking about sports outreach, and after them coming with us and us playing soccer in front of a bunch of kids and with a bunch of kids, and then being able to share our testimonies and share the love of Jesus with them after. At the end of the trip, those delegates and the bishop kind of agreed, yeah, this is something that we want to pursue, and this is something that we want to use as a platform, because we see how powerful a platform it is to use the sport as a way to show Jesus and show his love to people who don't know that yet.
I got a homesick heart, but a long ways left to go. I've been doing my part, but I ain't got much to show. So I'm asking you to show me some forgiveness. It's all for you in my pursuit of happiness. Chasing that life, moving on, 'cause I had to prove there ain't no life worth doing what I did to you. So I'm asking you to show me some forgiveness. It's all for you in my pursuit of happiness. I've got dreams that keep me up in the dead of night, telling me I wasn't made for such a life. There's a lot to say, but it's far in the distance. I'm asking you to show me some forgiveness. It's all for you in my pursuit of happiness. I've been working all night, maybe you could help me to believe this song ain't nothing if the song can't set you free.